All right. Now, this is Feb March 21. Question number 21. How many tertiary alcohols have the molecular formula C6H14O? So, let's see. You can make the tertiary alcohols C6H14O. Let's make tertiary alcohols and see. So first one, so you have 6 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try and make a tertiary alcohol. So out of the 6 carbons, if you put them in a straight chain, there will be no tertiary. So there's no point, because even if you put it here, it'll be primary. If you put it somewhere in the middle, it'll be secondary. Can't be tertiary. Tertiary is when the carbon with the OH has 3 neighboring carbons. So you put the CH3 here, the OH comes here. Is this tertiary? Yes. What will we call this? 2-methyl pentan 2-ol. Is this tertiary? Carbon with the OH has 1, 2, 3 neighboring carbons. Yes? Then let's try to make another. Again, with 6 you can't, so I'm going to put the CH3 here, OH here. Again, this is tertiary. This becomes 3-methyl pentan 3-ol. Now you can't have a 4-methyl pentan 4-ol because that will be the same as 2-methyl pentan 2-ol. So with 5 in the main chain, we've exhausted the options. Let's move on to a shorter chain of 4. Yeah. Now with a shorter chain of 4, you can have the CH3 here, the OH here, and another CH3 here. Yeah. So you see the carbon with the OH has 1, 2, 3 neighboring carbons. This is also tertiary. This will be called what? 2, 3 dimethyl butan 2-ol. Now you'll be like, oh, can we do this? Can we do 1, 2, 3, 4? Can we do dimethyl like this and put the OH here? That doesn't give you a tertiary alcohol. That is secondary. So when you're putting the OH, just make sure you put it with one of the branched CH3. Now you'd be like, okay, how about we do this? 3-methyl. How about we do this? This will be called what? This won't be called 2, 3 dimethyl butan 3-ol. This will be called 2, 3 dimethyl butan 2-ol. You've already drawn this, so this is not an option. Now let's make it even shorter. Let's make a chain of 3. When you make a chain of 3, now you have 3 more carbons left. So you can have a maximum of 2 here. Yeah. The 4th, the 3rd here. And you see now then you can't have a tertiary alcohol because the OH will have to go here. In which case it will be what? A secondary alcohol. Or you'll have to put it here. In which case it will be what? A secondary alcohol. So we don't have any other option. Can't be tertiary. So you have what? 1, 2, and 3 options where they can be tertiary. 3 isomers or 3 tertiary alcohols. The answer therefore is C. Diagram shows the structure of bromo compound that may be formed by the reaction of bromine with a hydrocarbon. Bromine with a hydrocarbon is what? Free radical substitution. Now you have 2 BRs. Which row is correct? Which type of reaction will it be? Not addition. It will be substitution. What will be the mechanism? Free radical. The answer therefore is D. Question 23. Okay, so we have strobilurin. All right, so these guys are inert groups attached. So this is warmed with aqueous sulfuric acid to produce compound X. So now what do we have in here? You see you have an ester linkage. Yes. So this ester linkage can get hydrolyzed with H2SO4 and will hydrolyze to give you what? Carboxylic acid and alcohol. This side, I told you everything with the C single bond O is the alcohol. So what will be your alcohol? CH3OH. And the rest of all of this will be your carboxylic acid. Compound X is then treated with hydrogen. So then you treat it with hydrogen also. So you treat it with hydrogen, what will happen? Producing compound X. So our X is most probably acid, yeah, carboxylic acid. Then you treat it with hydrogen in the presence of nickel catalyst. So what will happen? Hydrogen with nickel catalyst will cause alkene to become alkane. It'll be hydrogenation of alkene. Now let me just first make the carboxylic acid. It will be all of this stuff which is going down here, all of this, all right? I'll try to make it for you. R dash, then we have this with this, then we have this, then we have another this, and then you have an R here. And this right here, the carbon that was here will become C double bond O, OH. Yeah? So the carbon here becomes acid. Now, the double bonds that I had here, 1, 2, and 3, they will all become single bonds because of hydrogenation. So your answer would be, what is your answer? Can it be B? No. Can it be C? No. We know that there should be carboxylic acid here. So you can eliminate B and C just by looking at it. And then obviously you don't even have to draw the whole thing. Then when you've eliminated B and C, you can eliminate D also, because how are we getting the OHs? In hydrogenation, you don't get OHs, just the alkene will become alkane. And therefore the answer is A. Clear? Which compound produces a ketone when refluxed with dichromate? So we know ketone is by secondary alcohol. When they oxidize, they give you ketone. Pentanol, this is primary. So this won't. 2-methyl-butanol. So 2-methyl-butanol is also primary. 2-methyl-butanol, that is 2-methyl-butanol is tertiary. Carbon with the OH has 3 neighboring carbons, and you know tertiary don't oxidize. So the answer therefore is D. 3-methyl-butanol. So let's see 3-methyl-butanol. You'll put the methyl on carbon number 3. And do you see this alcohol is now secondary? So this is a secondary alcohol. Okay. 25. Dibromopentanes can undergo double elimination. So you have halogenoalkanes, double elimination reaction to produce hydrocarbon. Halogenoalkane undergoing elimination gives you what? Alkenes. So they're saying NaOH. This will be what? Ethanolic NaOH. Yes, NaOH and ethanol. Giving you Br2, giving you C5H8, NaBr, H2O. So they're saying double elimination. So let's see. Which isomers produces only one hydrocarbon product? So 1,5-dibromopentane. So you have 1,5-dibromopentane. Now by double elimination, they mean that both the Brs undergo the elimination, right? So now what is elimination? This H with this Br, the double bond will come here. What will this be? Pentene. Or you can call this 5-bromopent1ene. Yeah. Then if this guy undergoes elimination right here, it will also give you what? Pent1ene or 5-bromopent1ene. Therefore, you're getting the same, one hydrocarbon only. The answer therefore is A. Clear? Diagram shows the formation of compound Y from compound X in a chemical reaction. So what is happening? In X, you're adding HCN in the presence of KCN, and that is giving you this. So definitely X must be a carbonyl compound, because this is nucleophilic addition, and that happens in carbonyl compounds. So this is nucleophilic addition. Answer can't be A or B. Yes. Now they're saying, is it a ketone or an aldehyde? Let's see. Compound X. Now we know that compound X right here, let's say, now they've taken R1 and R2 and they've said that these are alkyl groups. So if both are alkyl groups around the carbonyl carbon, then it is a ketone, because in aldehyde, one is an alkyl group and one is a hydrogen. But they have said R1 and R2 are both alkyl groups. So that means it must be a ketone. The answer therefore is C. 27. In this question, you can assume that protium and tritium have the same chemical properties. These are isotopes of hydrogen. Sample of ethanol contains only one isotope of hydrogen, H1. It is reduced to compound Z. What will be compound Z? Primary alcohol. So ethanol will give you what? Ethanol. In a nucleophilic addition reaction using NaBH4, all the hydrogen atoms in NaBH4 are H3 isotope. So they're saying when you do reduction of this, when you do the reduction of aldehyde to alcohol, all the H's in NaBH4 are tritium or the H3 isotope. Compound Z, which is your alcohol, primary alcohol, they are saying this is then oxidized back to ethanol and water. All right. Which statement of the final mixture, the product is correct? So let's see. Both ethanol and water contain H. So basically, our ethanol, first thing was ethanol, which had only H1. In the presence of NaBH4, it made ethanol. And this NaBH4 had all H3 isotopes. So can I say that my ethanol will also have H3 isotopes? Yes. So this has H3 isotopes. And then they said that this ethanol is converted back to ethanol and water. So can I say, since this is making ethanol and water, ethanol will also have H3 and water will also have H3 isotopes? Yes. The original ethanol did not, but the one which is reformed, that will. So they are saying, first option, both ethanol and water contain H3 atoms. Yes, because it is being made from ethanol, which was made from NaBH4, which had all tritiums. So this also has tritium. So this will also make ethanol and water with tritium in it. Answer therefore is A. Clear? So ethanol has only, water has only, neither, no. They will both have tritiums because they're made from ethanol, which also has tritiums, because NaBH4 has tritium. Ethanedic acid has a formula. What is the formula of aluminum ethanedioate? So what do you mean by aluminum ethanedioate? That's the salt. Yeah. Now, ethanedioic acid, it has two acid groups. Yes. So C double bond O, OH, C double bond O, OH. Acid loses a proton. So this will become O minus. This will also lose a proton, become O minus. How many minus charges do we have? Total 2. Can I write this as C2O4 2 minus? Yes. And aluminum has a charge of Al 3 plus. So this 3 goes here. This 2 comes here. This will become Al2 C2O4 times 3. The answer therefore is D. Clear? Which reaction gives butanoic acid as one of its products? Let's see. Acid hydrolysis of butyl ethanoate. Butyl means 4 carbon alcohol and ethanoate means 2 carbon acid or ethanoic acid. Will it give you butanoic acid? No, it will give you ethanoic acid. Hydrolysis of butyl alkaline hydrolysis. So if you do alkaline hydrolysis, will it give you acid? No, it will give you salt of the acid, not the acid. Acid hydrolysis of ethyl butanoate. Yes, this will give you butanoic acid. Answer therefore is C. Alkaline hydrolysis again will give you salt. Question number 30. When reactant X is treated with suitable reagent, products Y and Z are formed, infrared spectrum is shown. Now let's see. X, Y, and Z are shown. Now reactant, let me just identify product Z and product Y if we can. Let's see what this is. Do you see in product Z you have a C double bond O? Do you see you have a peak at 1700? And then you have a broad peak right here. And this right here is for the OH. Yeah. Then this right here, this has, this is 1500, 1600, 1700. Again, there's a C double bond O. Yeah. And there's a small peak right here at 3000. So 3000 weak peak could be, let's check. So you have a peak weak, which is at roughly 3000. So let's see what that would be. It could be alkenes, because they are alkene arenes right here, 3000. It could be CH also. Yes. So you have these peaks right here. Now they are saying what row could be correct. Now let's see. First, let's see X. It's 2,3-dimethyl pen-2-ene. From 2,3-dimethyl pen-2-ene, how can you make propanone and butanone? You can make that through oxidation of alkene. That's the only possibility. Yes, you can make it through oxidation. But you know, Y and Z, one of them has to be acid. So A can't be the answer because one of them has to be acid. You've identified this. Yeah. This we don't know. This is just C double bond O. Maybe it could be a ketone because maybe this is CH peak. Yeah. So maybe it could be ketone, maybe it could be aldehyde, whatever. But one for sure is acid. So A can't be the answer. C can't be the answer because both are not acids for sure. D also can't be the answer because you don't have an alcohol. If you had an alcohol, you would not have had the C double bond O. And if you had the alcohol, there would be a broad peak here at 3000. Clear? Do you see? Just by identifying Z and Y, you have solved the question. You have eliminated everything else. And therefore, your answer is B. And you don't really have to bother. You don't have to bother. Alkene, okay, let's see. Alkene is C double bond C. If you have a double bond, then it is 1500 to 1680. You have a peak at 3000. So that could be for alkanes. This alkene arenes are where you have a double bond with a CH. Not for a C double bond C. For a C double bond C, the peak is at 1500 to 1680. Yes? So it's most definitely a CH. All right? But even if you just identified the C double bond O, you're good to go. You know it cannot be alcohol. It cannot be acid. Yes? And this for sure is acid. So both are not acids. Therefore, you eliminated this because both options are not acids. Both are not ketones either. One is acid for sure. There is no alcohol. So you eliminated D also and you're left with only B. You don't even have to check. You understand this? But if you want to, we'll do it. 2-methyl pen-2-ene. So you have 2-methyl pen-2-ene. So you have pen-2-ene. And on carbon 2, you have a methyl. So can I draw it like this? C double bond C with a CH3 with a CH3. So I can show oxidation easily. H, C2H5. Yes? Now if I show the oxidation of this side will give you ketone because carbon with 2 carbons. So this will give you propanone. And this will give you acid. Which carbon acid? 3 carbon acid. So this would be propanoic acid. And that's exactly what you have here. But you didn't even have to check, you could have just eliminated. Question number 31. A sample of 17.15 mole of H has dynamic equilibrium with this much of H2 at a volume of this much. Two equilibrium constants Kc and Kp can be calculated for this mixture. Which statement about equilibrium constants for this mixture is correct? So first thing, let's see, 31 units. So you see for Kc, it would be concentration of products. So it would be mole per dm cube square upon mole per dm cube for this, mole per dm cube for this. That is also mole per dm cube square. So the units cancel out, no units. And likewise, if you have pressure, it will be the same thing. Clear? Now let's see. A sample of this much is in dynamic equilibrium. All right, so they've given us all of this. So we know the dynamic equilibrium values. What is HI? HI is 17.15 moles raised to the power 2 upon what is this? 2.27, and this is 2.84. Let's find this. So 17.15 square divided by 2.27 times 2.84, and the answer is 45.6. So your Kc comes out to be 45.6. The second option is correct. Kc is 45.6. Then they're saying that Kc is greater than Kp. So let's try and figure out the Kp. What will be the Kp? They've given you the total pressure. Yes. So I mean, we have the moles also. So can I add all the moles, get the total moles? So total moles come out to be 17.15 plus 2.27 plus 2.84. So total moles NT, can I call that 22.26. Now let's get the mole fraction. Yeah. The mole fraction for HI would be the moles of HI, which are how much? 17.15 upon the total times the total pressure. I can just take it in kilopascals, it doesn't matter, right? So that squared upon, let's get the mole fraction of I2 and H2. H2 would be 2.27 divided by 22.6 times 141. And what would be I2? It would be 2.84 divided by 22.6 times 141. Let's find the Kp. So this would be 17.15 divided by 22.26 times 141, and this value squared is a big number. I'll just write it down here. 11,800.9 divided by 2.27 divided by 22.6 times 141. So this comes out to be 14.16 times the other guy, which is 2.84 divided by 22.6 times 141. This is 17.7. So this multiplied by 14.16, and then you have 11,800.9 divided by this answer, and this comes out to be 47.0. So your Kp is 47, your Kc was 45. They are saying Kc is greater than Kp. No. Answer is B. An energy cycle for the combustion of methane is shown. So right here we have this, and they are saying which expressions can be used to calculate the energy change delta Hz. So can I call this? Can I call this my first box? This is my second box. This is my third box. Yeah, I need to find Z. So can I say this is tail? So right here, this will be the start. You have end here because you have two heads here. And can I call this, therefore, this is the intermediate. So you can go from start to end directly, which is delta Hz, which will be equal to start to intermediate, which is what? Enthalpy change of formation of CH4 plus enthalpy change of combustion of CH4. That is your delta H. Yes, that's Z. So 32, let's see. Formation of CH4, combustion of CH4. That is correct. Yes. Now, let's see the second option. They are saying, can you calculate Z by, so we figured out first option is correct. Yes. I'll just erase this. Now they're saying, can you find it by combustion of carbon, okay, and combustion of hydrogen? So let's see, can that give you delta Hz? So combustion of carbon would be when this guy becomes CO2. Yes, you'll have to kind of rearrange your arrows a little. And combustion of hydrogen would be when this becomes H2O. Yes. So let's see now if you have something like this. So if you have, how can you find delta Hz? What is Z? Z is carbon plus 2H2 plus O2 becoming CO2 plus H2O. This is delta Hz. Yeah, one way was this, by the Hess cycle that they've given us. We figured one option is right. Let's see the second option. They are saying by combustion of carbon. So let's see. What does combustion of carbon give you? Combustion of carbon gives you carbon dioxide. And what does combustion of hydrogen give you? Water. Do you see combustion of carbon giving you carbon dioxide? Can I call this combustion of carbon? And you see right here, combustion of hydrogen times 2. That gives you H2O. So can I add these two values to get delta Z? Yes. Clear? Then this is delta Z. They are saying, can you find it? So 1 and 2 are right. Let's see if the other one is right. Combustion of carbon monoxide. Do we have carbon monoxide here? No, but let's put it here. So if you have carbon monoxide, but then that's incomplete combustion. You see, where will we get carbon monoxide from? You don't have carbon monoxide. Do you understand? We deal with complete combustion. We don't know. Carbon can incompletely combust, give you carbon monoxide. But then we don't know the value of incomplete combustion. We only deal with complete combustion. And do you have any carbon monoxide in this equation or anywhere? No. The only way you can make it is by incomplete combustion of carbon. But we don't know the value of that because we only deal with complete combustion. So 3 is wrong answer, therefore is B. 33, many gases do not obey the general gas equation at high pressure. Why is that? Because at high pressure, it is not ideal. Because when you increase the pressure, particles are close together, they will have intermolecular forces. So particles have IMF or intermolecular forces at high pressure. That's why they don't obey it. At higher pressure, the molecules have more energy. Is that true? The particles will be close together. That's not true. They will not. So they will not have more energy. They will just be closer together. More energy is when you heat them. When you heat them, you give them heat energy. When you heat them, you give them heat energy. They convert it into kinetic energy. Pressure does not increase the kinetic energy. One is wrong. Yeah, and this is not the reason why they are not ideal. They are not ideal because at higher pressure, they're closer, they have intermolecular forces. So at higher pressure, the volume is larger proportional to the total volume. We know that, yes. If one is wrong, we know the answer is C. At higher pressure, molecules experience greater intermolecular force, yes. Which species can accept a lone pair of electrons to form a coordinate bond? Can BF3 form coordinate bonding? Yes, because boron has a vacant orbital. Yes. H plus, can it accept it? Yes, because H plus also has 0 electrons or a vacant orbital. CH3 plus, yes, carbon has a vacant orbital. Yes, all three can. Answer is A. And we've seen examples. Do you remember we saw example of NH3 with BF3? Where you had a dative bond from N to B. Yes, I'd rather show it like this. NH3 making a dative bond with BF3. O, H2O making a dative bond with H plus. And CH3 making a dative bond with a hydrogen. Yes, or H minus. Clear? We've seen these examples. All right. A sample containing X mole of Al2Cl6 is dissolved in water to give solution W. All right. So you dissolve this in water, giving you solution W in order to precipitate all of the aluminum. So we know this is in gaseous state. Yeah. And when you dissolve it in water, you get solution W in order to precipitate all of the aluminum as its hydroxide. By mole of sodium hydroxide are required. The more of the alkali is added, redissolve the precipitate given solution Z. Which statements are correct? So let's see. The initial pH of solution W was below 7. What is solution W? Solution W is aluminum dissolving in water. Now, if you remember, aluminum, they are saying the pH, initial pH of solution W was below 7. So you know that aluminum chloride, if you remember, aluminum oxide was ionic. Aluminum chloride was Covalent. AlCl3 is covalent. Even Al2Cl6 is covalent. And you know covalent compounds are acidic. So will the pH be less than 7? Yes, because acidic compounds are less than 7. So pH was below this, yes. Then in order to precipitate all of the aluminum as its hydroxide, Y mole of sodium hydroxide are required. So you basically have AlCl3 reacting with NaOH. This is what they are saying. Yeah. When you react AlCl3 with NaOH, they are saying you require Y moles of sodium hydroxide. So this will give you what? This will give you AlOH3 plus NaCl. So they are saying Y is equals to 3 times X or 3X. And X is what? X moles of Al2Cl6. So how many moles of this would we have from 1 mole of Al2Cl6? 2 moles. Because 1 Al2Cl6 gives you 2 moles of AlCl3. Yeah. So if you have 2 moles of this, so you will put a 2 here. Then your hydroxide will become 6. So you will have 6 here. Yes. And then NaCl will also be 6. So they are saying Y is equals to 3X. So X mole of Al2Cl6 gives you Y moles. So they're saying Y is equals to 3 times X. So let's take Y to be 1 mole. Yeah. Y, let's take Y to be 1 mole. 1 mole of Al2Cl6. So Y is 1 mole. How many moles does it give you of AlCl3? 2. And when 2 moles are given, how many moles of NaOH are required? 6. So Y is not equal to 3X. It's actually equal to 6X. Because Y is the moles of sodium hydroxide. Yes? They are saying Y is equals to 3X. Y are the moles of sodium hydroxide required. How many moles of sodium hydroxide are required here? 6. Yeah. Now, they are saying this 6 is equals to 3 times X. What was X? X is the moles of Al2Cl6. How many moles of Al2Cl6 are we taking? 1 mole. Because we said 1 mole of Al2Cl6 gives you 2 moles of AlCl3. Yeah. So X is 1. So is this equal? 6 is equals to 3. No. If anything, it is equal to 6X, I can say. Can I say Y is equals to 6X? Can I say that? Where Y is 6 moles and X is 1. Do you understand this? So it is not equal to 3X, it's equal to 6X. 1 mole of Al2, just hear me out now. 1 mole of Al2Cl6 gives you how many AlCl3s? 2. So let's see. 1 Al2Cl6 gives you 2 moles of AlCl3, and that will react with NaOH, right? All right. 1 mole means X mole. This X is 1, right? And when you have these 2 moles of AlCl3 reacting, they require how many moles of NaOH? 6 moles. Moles of NaOH are called Y. So can I say X is equals to 6Y? Yeah, because if X is 1, then it will be 6 moles of Y. Yeah. So it's not equal to 3X. It is equal to 6X. Therefore, this is also wrong. If 1 is right, 2 is wrong, answer is always D. So you need to understand that Al2Cl6 gives you 2 AlCl3s. And then 2 AlCl3s will require 6 NaOH. So basically 1 Al2Cl6 requires 6 NaOHs. Yeah, not 3. The answer therefore is D. 36. Nitrogen dioxide is produced when petrol is burnt in car engines. Which acids are made in the atmosphere as a result of the release of nitrogen dioxide into? We know this also does catalytic conversion of SO2 to SO3. Yeah. So they're saying which acids can you make? So you can make H2SO3. No, H2SO3 is formed when SO2 reacts with water. But what does NO2 does? What does nitrogen dioxide do? What does it do? It converts SO2 to SO3. So if it has been converted, will you have SO2? No. If you don't have SO2, will you have sulfurous acid? No. You will have H2SO4 and you can have HNO3 as well, where this itself reacts with water to give HNO3. The answer therefore is C. SO2 will be converted in the presence of this. So there will be no SO2 because it will be converted. If there is no SO2, can you make sulfurous acid? No. In which reaction is a major product formed by nucleophilic substitution reaction? So nucleophilic substitution happens in alcohols and halogenoalkanes. Bromoethane plus potassium cyanide in ethanol. So bromoethane with KCN in ethanol. So will this give you a major product? Let's see. So you have bromoethane with KCN or NaCN in ethanol. What will you get? This will become CN. Yeah, this is the only product. Yeah. So can I say this is the major product? Because this is the only product. There are no major minor happening here. Okay. Then you have bromoethane with ammonia. So you have bromoethane with ammonia. Can this give you a major product? Yes. Only thing you got to do is this will replace NH and this will become NH2 amine. Only one product. Bromoethane with hot concentrated NaOH and ethanol. So you have NaOH and ethanol. So you have bromoethane with NaOH in ethanol. What is this? This is elimination, firstly. Is this nucleophilic substitution? No. Can it be the answer? No. Answer is B. An excess of P reacts with Q in the presence of sulfuric acid. So P reacts with Q to form R. Effervescence is seen when a piece of sodium is added to R. Piece of sodium added to R, that means it must have alcohol or carboxylic acid left, because acid and alcohol both react with sodium metal to give hydrogen gas. Structure of P is shown. So they're saying P reacts with Q. So let's see. P has an alcohol. P also has carboxylic acid. They're reacting it with Q in the presence of concentrated sulfuric acid. So there will be esterification. Yes, let's see. But after esterification, either alcohol or acid must be left so that it reacts with sodium to give you an effervescence. Let's see. So what could be compound Q? So if compound Q is this, so this has an acid group. So this acid group will react with the alcohol, giving you what? Ester, and leaving behind what? Acid. And this acid will then react with sodium to give you hydrogen gas, which will be effervescence. Yes, this is correct. Then you have alcohol. So this alcohol can react with this acid, giving you ester, leaving behind what? Alcohol, giving you hydrogen with sodium. This is also correct. Then you have this, which is a ketone. Can ketone react with alcohol? Can ketone? No. So ketone does not undergo esterification. Answer is therefore B. Clear? Two carbonyl compounds have different molecular formulae, C3H6O. Which reagents give different observation with these two compounds? So these are carbonyl compounds. Which reagents give different? They're the same molecular formula. So we know what are the two carbonyl compounds, aldehyde and they are functional isomers of each other. Remember, they have the same molecular formula, different functional group. So how will you get different observations? When you add KMNO4, yes, because if it's an aldehyde, it will oxidize. Ketones do not oxidize. So will you see a color change with aldehyde? Yeah. Will you see a color change with ketone? No. Yes. So you can differentiate between the two. So ketones do not oxidize. So you can differentiate. Felling's reagent. Yes, this reacts with aldehyde. Alkaline aqueous iodine. That may be difficult because let's see. We can try. Let's try. So your 3-carbon ketone would be this. Yes, 3-carbon ketone. Let's try. Can this react with iodine? Yes, because what was the criteria? You need a CH3 and a C double bond. So this will react with iodine. And this will give you a yellow precipitate or whatever. Yeah. You have a 3-carbon aldehyde. The only 3-carbon aldehyde possible is this, because you know aldehyde cannot be in the middle of the molecule. Can this react with iodine? No, the only aldehyde which can react with iodine is, I told you, ethanol. This is propanol. Do you have a CH3 next to it? No. You have a CH2. Can this react with iodine? No reaction with iodine. So can you use this? Yes. Answer therefore is A. Clear? Can aldehyde, a 3-carbon aldehyde is this? Yes. Can you have any other 3-carbon aldehyde? No. Can this react with iodine? You have a C double bond. You need a CH3 next to it. Do you have that? So it's not. So it can't react with this aldehyde, but can it react with the ketone? So can you differentiate between the two based on this reagent? Yes. Answer therefore is A. Organic compound T does not fizz when you add carbonate to it. So when you're adding carbonate, it does not fizz. That means it is not carboxylic acid, because carboxylic acid is the one which reacts with carbonates to give you carbon dioxide, which gives you the fizz. So compound T has this much mass of oxygen. So it has oxygen, but we know it is not acid. So it can be alcohol, it can be etc. stuff. So it can be propanol, yes. So, and you have to check the percentage also. They've given you the percentage, right? Propanol is C3H6O. How much oxygen do you have? 16 out of the total mass, which is 12 times 3 plus 16 plus 6. Is it 27.6? Let's see. So 12 times 3 plus 16 plus 6. So 16 divided by this times 100. This comes out to be 27.58. So yes, that is true. Ethyl butanoate. What is ethyl butanoate? Let's see. So it is 2-carbon aldehyde, 2-carbon alcohol and a 4-carbon acid. This is ethyl butanoate. Yes. Will it react with carbonate? No. Let's see if it has 27.6% oxygen. How many oxygens do we have? 2. So 16 times 2. How many carbons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 times 12 plus. How many hydrogens? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. And how many oxygens? Again, 16 times 2. So let's see. 6 times 12 plus 16 times 2 plus 12. And all of this divided by 36. So if you see, mass of oxygen is 16 times 2, which is 32, divided by 6 times 12 plus 16 times 2. Yes, this also comes out to be 27.58%. This is also true. Let's see the last one. Pentanoic acid can't be the answer, because this will react with carbonate and they've told us it's not carboxylic acid. Answer therefore is B. Clear? Is this clear?